thank you for joining us today on What Now with my beautiful host here. And we just want to talk about COVID-19. With COVID-19, also known as the coronavirus, everything has changed.
Yes.
Everything has changed. How we do business,
Yes.
how we do family, how we do self-care,
Yes.
and how we handle relationships. Everything has changed. And I believe that if we're going to survive, that we're going to have to make some changes.
Yes,
And we just don't want to survive. We want to thrive. So let's talk about that. How can we not only survive, but thrive in the midst of crisis?
It's embracing that, like you said, embracing that new normal.
Yes.
This is where we're at.
Mhm.
Accept where we're at. Now, what do I need to do to move forward? How do I navigate during this shift?
Yeah.
How do I embrace this shift
Yeah.
that's happening in our world, this pandemic?
Yeah.
You know,
Change is hard. Change is hard
It's
for anyone,
Mhm.
especially when it's a great amount of change
Mhm.
in such a short amount of
Oh, my
time.
goodness.
So understanding how to take bite sizes,
Mhm.
practical application is
Mhm.
so important.
Mhm.
It's so important.
Mhm.
Yeah, when I think about change, I think the starting point is, how has this change impacted your life? How has it impacted your family? How has it impacted your income? And so when you think of it in those bite-sized chunks, then you can kind of adjust your thoughts to say, here's where I need to start. This is what's most important, or this is what has had the most impact.
Yes.
And so
So
that's
identification.
Yeah, absolutely.
Identification is important. Being able to identify what struggles, you know, because it's such a lot of change at one time.
it is.
So what is that biggest thing, that biggest item that provokes the anxiety, that provokes the fear, the frustration? That's where we start. And then once we figure that out, you know, trying to figure out, okay, I know this is what it is. How do I walk through this?
How do I walk through it?
How do I walk through
Exactly.
this?
And then staying away from so much negative.
Absolutely.
Because the negative is overshadowing. And so I had to pull back from it a little bit just so I could kind of contain that anxiety. Like, wait a minute, hold on. That hasn't happened in here yet. That hasn't happened to me yet. So be prepared, or, you know, take precautions, but continue to live in this. Family dynamics has changed. Spending more time with the hubby because he's stuck with
the
spending more time
kids. The kids
with
are home.
kids. You know, like, do I even like my kids anymore?
So you thought you liked them before
I
now?
thought I liked them.
That's because you have to spend a lot of time with them.
Yeah, right.
They're giving a lot of time with them. We're like,
Exactly.
you have one eyebrow up. Like,
Right.
what did I do?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
People coming home to work now,
Yes.
spending more time together.
Yeah.
So not only are we dealing with the pandemic in our world, now our house has, you know what I'm saying? We've all come together. We're in there together, and where we could just go spend 8 hours out and go do what we have to do, kind of not have to deal with some things. That alone is a lot.
Yes.
You know, on top
Yes,
of,
it is.
oh my God, 50 people died today, or this person, you know, now I'm at home. So it's just a lot going on in this new shift quickly.
is.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
And people don't like change, and they're fearful of change,
Yes.
right? And so once we identify what it is that we now have to change, then we can go ahead and work through it. And like you said, little pieces, bit by bit, bit by bit.
Yeah, so like when it comes to, let's just say, for example, working at home, coming from, I already work at home, so, but coming from the office or whatever environment that you worked in to working at home, how does that feel? What changes did you have to make coming into working at home in that environment?
Setting boundaries. That was big for me, because having kids who are home, I have a puppy, so it's loud, you know, and you got to get work done. You have deadlines that you may have to meet. So setting boundaries and saying, okay, son, husband, wife, from this time to this time, I need to do X, Y, and Z. Quiet time. You gotta set those boundaries.
For me, I think it is that my family just has a crisis all the time. right? So whether they have crisis all the time.
911.
Right. So no matter what I'm doing, they want to like stick their head in. And so you get distracted. Being on telehealth and doing Zoom and Doxy Me, it's kind of hard when your kid's standing there. And this is confidential, right? So I need you to get out the room while I am, you know, in therapy with someone. So it's kind of hard. Setting boundaries, I think, is good. But again, like, it's easy to go thinking about you got to do laundry.
Yeah.
While you're, you know, doing your work. Or
That's the difference, because when you're at work at that at work environment, then you know you're not really thinking about laundry, or you know the boundaries pretty much have already been set, so everybody in the office knows when to come in and when to peek in and not to bother, but at home and someone's like, you know, so what's for lunch? It's like
right, it's overwhelming.
You know?
It can be overwhelming, you know, because we find ourselves doing everything now that we're home for our kids. We're helping them with homework, we're doing our own work, we're cleaning up, we're just, everything just seems to be just too overwhelming a lot of times, I hear. And even for myself, to be transparent, you wake up and you're like, what now? It's a routine.
What now? So now that everything has changed, what now? What are you going to do now? What changes do you feel you need to make to adjust your life with the many changes that have taken place in your life? Now, doing nothing, I really don't recommend that. I don't think that's a good idea. I think you have to do something if you're going to keep up, not just survive. Well, if you're just going to survive, you're going to have to do something. Absolutely. And remember, change is not change until something changes. So if you're going to change something, think about what's most impactful and change that. And then embrace where we are, because really this change happened without our permission. We were thrust into it. And as anxiety grows because of it, being anxious because of it, we want to try and control that if we can. Some people are high anxiety, so now I know they're really at high alert right now. So I'm really hopeful that people can kind of find a place of calm where they are really able to think. Thoughts, being able to think is so powerful at this time. If ever a time we really needed to think, set aside time to think, have thoughts that are conducive to what we need to do. I had written something down earlier, and it was, what keeps you up? What keeps you up? Does worry keep you up, or does strategy keep you up? What builds you up? What keeps you up? Talk about that. What keeps you up?
That's good. What keeps me? Planning. I'm always planning. I have strategy. I'm always planning the next day. Worry, not so much. I just kind of, you know, it's gonna be there, right? So we just kind of fit it in where it needs to be fit in, and so it's just strategy for me.
And it's good to have strategy to keep you up, rather than worry and negativity keeping you up. That because it takes just as much time doing nothing as it does doing something.
Absolutely.
So if we're going to think, let's think of this thing in terms of what's going to help us. What keeps you up?
For me, it's the same. Planning, always thinking, what's next? What can I do in order to propel me to the next step? I have goals. I'm always trying to accomplish a goal. So I need to figure out these smaller things that I can do to get me to that bigger goal.
Yeah, what keeps you up?
And the same thing, strategy. My passion keeps me up. And so dealing in what we deal with, hearing that crisis all the time, hearing that, and what can I do to offer solutions? And it kind of keeps me from when I'm in a panic mode. Because sometimes I have to be my own client.
Exactly.
Sometimes I have to be the client and say, Athena, you are safe in this moment. And the truth is, it's the stress that's going to kill you faster than any pandemic. It's killing people, heart attacks, strokes, diabetes. It's killing people faster than COVID ever did. 660,000 people die every year just by heart attacks. So imagine people dying of everything else. So this pandemic can't touch the stress that's killing us every day. And so I don't want to be that one either. So dealing with my clients, my passion is really keeping me up. And time management. It's managing that time. Coming home. Now, I've been home for a while, but time management when everybody's home and I'm mom.
Right.
I'm the solution. I'm wife. You have the solution. But saying between this time and this time, don't bother me.
Yes.
I'm at work and do not. If work is just setting, that's those boundaries set. Like, don't bother me, and putting something on my door, working.
And discipline. It sounds like discipline too. Setting those boundaries and sticking to the boundaries that we're setting.
Yes,
because that's important. And I want to backtrack. I want to say I haven't always been the person to sit up and think about strategy. I have been, worry has kept me up sometimes before, and because it's a process. I know we sit and we say, no, strategy. Yes, but when we are weary sometimes, it's like, wait a minute, hold on. Weary is keeping us up. We can't sleep. We're restless. We're fatigued. We have headaches. All those things, right, keep us up at night. But then when you're like, you know what? When you think about the big picture, because we're only just a little piece of the picture. Yeah. When we think about the big picture, we can kind of breathe a little bit. And I don't know where everyone else's belief systems are, or, and because everyone has their own thing, and what they do for their spirituality. But, sometimes you have to embrace it and let that thing go. The thing that you're worried most about, let it go, Take a deep breath, recenter.
That's good. That's good. And finding time and space to care for self. Finding that time and space, and to be kind to self, because this is something that we haven't experienced before, and so we're trying to figure out our new normal. And in the midst of that, like, one of the things that I struggle with sometimes is motivation in the midst of all that's going on, right? So I'm feeling all of these feelings, and then I don't want to get up, and I don't want to meet those goals and those deadlines. And I have to remember, you know what? This is something that you've not experienced before. And it's okay. It's okay.
It's okay. I took a week and I slept until 11:30, 12 o'clock. I took a week and allowed myself to just be. I didn't want to be coached that week. I had to be wife. My kids are grown. I have grandchildren. I'm like, this is my week. And in order for me to show up for my clients, for my children, for my wife, for the ministry, I need me some me time.
Yes.
And this is a lot going on. And a lot of people depend on me to give them answers. And one thing about being a Christian, because we're Christians, and allowing the Holy Spirit to speak, he downloaded the whole week. And I fasted the whole week. So we did the first 3 days of not eating. And then after that, God just downloaded just simple answers. It wasn't deep, just simple, everyday stuff. And it has really gotten me through, because I have little anxiety issues where I have to woosah and reach out to my own minister or pastor, or have to hear what she's saying. Okay, that ministered to me in this moment right now. I'm not perfect. It's not, no, I'm going through this. You just don't even understand,
Self-care.
Yes.
Self-care. Self-care is so important, because if we don't take care of ourselves, how are we going to take care of everybody else? That self-care and believing that you deserve to be cared for.
Yes.
I deserve to take care of myself. And like you, for like that first week, it was like popcorn and television and hot tamales, man. Those were my friend. And then finally I said, okay, pajamas, I'm like, I went live a couple times, just changed my top. It's like nobody sees, right. So it's like, got off of that, went back to the, the popcorn, the hot tamales, and finding some good movies. And then finally I said, okay, it's time to re-engage.
Yes, right.
It's time to re-engage. So, and re-engaging, and just like, I was like, what now, God?
Yes.
For real.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, so what now? Okay, so now that everything has changed, I need to live stream our services. Something I had never done before. I know you've been trying to get me to do this forever, but anyway, something I had never done before. And I just did not like being in front of the camera and all of that. But look at this.
Right.
So what now was birthed out of COVID. So I believe that at the end of the day, when we pull back the curtains, if we engage and allow ourselves time to think of what we're going to do now, you have no idea how this opposition can become opportunity, and the ideals will begin to flow. Simplistic things. This really happened very quickly, and I really appreciate you ladies coming on board with That's such a short notice.
It's fun.
It really has, and it's been a journey, and it's a journey that we created. We, so things have changed. So what creative ideas are waiting for you to happen to them? What idea is waiting for you to put the meat and potatoes to? That thing that's been lying dormant. So yes, everything has changed. And one thing about change, I'll say that when things shift and change, you don't always gravitate to it right away. I didn't realize the extent of all of this. I thought, I just didn't know how long it was going to last or anything. And I'm like, okay, well.
Or how big the impact would be.
Exactly. And it's been very impactful. I don't think any of us can say that we haven't been impacted by this coronavirus. So when change happens, we don't always gravitate to it. We don't always develop a taste for it right away. And so it's like developing that taste for it to say, okay, it is what it is, but I'm not going to que sera and just let all this stuff happen to me. I'm going to happen to it. Okay?
Come on now. That's
so, and I want to say, she has a husband. She doesn't have a wife. I know it sounds like she said that earlier, but anyway, I just thought I'd put that out there anyway. So, and when change happens, you don't always know what to do with it.
Right. Yes.
And one of the things that we can do in it is, best we can, be calm and then be absolutely kind. You said that. It's so important that we're kind to our spouses, that we're kind to our children, that we're kind to those who are servicing us, and just being, there's nothing wrong with being kind. I don't know. So, yeah,
there's nothing wrong with it. And I even had to, even in the services I offer was maybe slash my people are not working. But I was looking down one of the groups, and 4 people said they wanted to commit suicide on Saturday. Oh my God. And I went in and just started pulling stuff from my resources and handing them to women. Like, you know what? Money doesn't even matter. You understand? I heard you say this, and whatever I can offer, because the truth is, it's not worth killing yourself over. But I remember in 2008, people were doing the same thing when our economy crashed. They didn't have answer, was kind enough. Like, I'm going to think death is kinder than the fight. Death is never kinder than the fight, but people don't have answers. And I believe if we just take a moment and relax and say, okay, what is the answer? You know what I'm saying? Sometimes the easy way out is to, but I've heard, and they were saying why. Like, I don't like my husband. My husband is really cruel for real. And so before COVID, I could run from him in the grocery store at my mama's house. And, I could take the kids. Or I don't know how to deal with all of my kids. School dealt with them when they came home. I had them on now I'm overwhelmed. So I have this husband or my relationship that we're fighting, we're not getting along. It's reminding me that I'm not enough. My kids is reminding me that I'm not enough. And I've really never tackled goals or anything, because goals was kids and husband and my job. So now I'm sitting and feeling attacked and alone. What do I do? What now? What now? And that's all I saw when she said, we're going to do what now? That's all I saw was what now? What now? Like, you need to tune into this. But I know it's more people, not just women, men. I'm not showing up to my family. I'm not feeding my family. And so being able to see that on social media, my heart goes out to those people. What now? It's great that we have each other. It's great that we have our pastors and our leaders, but everybody doesn't have pastor leader.
Right. Absolutely.
I think it's important that in these times, those of us who do have the capacity, who may have a little more strength that they can offer outside of, dealing with their families, their work, to offer that to others, especially when you're on social media and you see people who are struggling. A part of us standing together is being there for one another. Being able to say, you know what, I understand where you are, or maybe I've not had that thought before, but I can relate because I'm human too. And these, I understand pain. And so let me encourage you. Let me offer you something. You never know your smile.
Jeez.
One or two words. And it's free. How that can impact someone's life.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is true.
It is true.
I was thinking about what you were talking about, being kind to yourself, and then when you were talking about how the people were telling you that this and this and this and this is my reason for wanting to kill myself, right? And so identification, kindness and identification. I thought about both of those while you guys were talking, and I'm going to say this first to your topic was so I looked at that as a pie, right? Our life is a pie. We have kids, work, life, husband, this, that, and the other, And so if we look at a whole pie, we can't just eat the whole pie because it'll be all over our face, right? So sometimes we have to cut those pies in pieces. And a lot of times when we cut the pies in pieces, we may start off with big pieces, right? But then we may have to cut that piece into another piece, or maybe cut that piece into another piece. And so I seen a pie. So we have to learn how to tackle things one at a time. Yes, we have a pie in front of us, but we cannot eat it all at the same time. We cannot do that.
That's
so I don't think people really understand that. They just see something and they get overwhelmed by, oh, I gotta do all this. Instead of saying, and I think when you're talking about identification, a lot of times people are fearful of identifying the things that's wrong in their life. And so they shy away from it, which looks like it's really overwhelming. You know what I mean? So they don't identify. And so when they begin to identify bits and pieces of it, then they can tackle it and they can identify and they can put it in pieces. So I thought about even being kind to and this is just kind of not off topic, but it kind of shifts. Because you said something about doesn't matter how much money we have. I have talking to my husband, I was saying, it's the funny that the people at the fast food restaurants have jobs. They have jobs and working, right? The very people that we run to and, that we may say mean things because our food is not right, they have jobs. So not only being kind to ourselves, but be kind to everybody. That's it. And I believe that when we learn how to be kind to, first of all, love ourselves first, this, that, and the other, but I think that if we learn how to be kind to someone else, then we can extend kind to ourselves. That's it. You know what I mean? Even saying thank you. Just give me a back. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And we can extend that grace that we give somebody else to the grace to ourselves. Yeah.
I think sometimes that's where we fall. I'm so busy trying to be everything to everybody. Have some compassion. I'm not perfect today.
Yes.
I had a client tell me one day, she said, Athena, I'm really having a bad day. I'm feeling, that I'm not enough. I said, who are you comparing yourself to today? Why are you trying to be perfect? You're not perfect. And stop looking at people who's got 10 years into your 1 year. Stop that.
Yeah.
You are where you are. You know what I'm saying? Quit looking at people who's been married 50 years. They know how to handle that. Get with someone and ask questions. Let's not have too much pride. Give yourself room to grow and breathe. Have some compassion on yourself. Forgive yourself. I've let things get out of hand. I see that. I think that's where COVID comes in. I think that's where the advantage is that we can see where we really need to make changes. That I'm like, okay, so now you see where you and hubby, now you see where you and well, what are some solutions? Be solution driven. And I think that'll keep us from, beating ourselves up all the time and beating up on other people. We're not kind to other people because we're not kind to us because we don't have compassion for us.
For anything.
I made a mistake. It's okay. It's not perfect.
It's okay.
It's just not perfect.
And having a bad day is not the end of the world. It really isn't. And we have to be real. I'm like, who doesn't have a bad day? Now, some people, you may look at them like, do you ever
Have a good day?
ever have a bad day? Yeah, do you ever have a good day? Yeah. But some people are like, do you ever have a bad day? Because some people are so pleasant, but even the people that are most pleasant have those moments where they feel some type of way about what's going on around them. And so if you have a bad day, it's not the end of the world. And anyone who is feeling like ending it all, I just want to say that crises come and they go. This too will pass. This is not the end of the world. This thing is really meant to catapult you into another dimension of your life that you may have no idea what's waiting for you. So I'm saying, before you throw in the towel, let's hold this thing up and look at it and just say, as a blank sheet of paper or whatever, and say, what can I do with this? What now? What can I do with what I have? You know, so I can lean with it, roll with it, rock with it, baby. You know, so hey, so what am I working with? What do I have? It seems like everything is gone, but I tell you, if you do inventory, you will find that there is something there to work with. You know, the prophet, y'all know I'm a pastor, right? You know, so you know the prophet asked the woman when she said, she was a cruse of oil. He asked her, he said, what do you have? And her first response was like, nothing.
That's right.
And then her second response was, you know, I have this cruse of oil. So it really took the prophet to kind of like open her mind up to what she really had. And I hope what now opens you up to what you really have, so that you'll understand it may be little, but I want to tell you something, friends, that your 2 fish and 5 loaves just might be feeding 5,000 people. That's my preach for today, I think. Okay, so it's not the end. Let's see opposition as opportunity. Let's see this thing that's overwhelming us. Let's flip it. And start coming and overwhelming it a little bit at a time.
Let's change our perspective on how we're, it's
because
an
perspective
opportunity.
is everything.
Yeah, it's opportunity. What are the opportunities that we have in front of us? Okay, we have our kids get on our nerves. Guess what? Well, we have an opportunity to build a relationship with them. Let's play Uno and Monopoly. Let's play Duck, Duck, Goose, even though we're running around. Let's play hide and seek. Let's play whatever. Let's get the family back together. If we need a quiet minute, I remember playing with my kids, and we were talking to my youngest, and she said, 1, 2, 3, quiet castle. And I was like, oh my God, I remember that's a game where all my kids would have to be quiet. We'd be in the car and they'd be fighting, the 3 of them be fighting in the back seat. And I'd be like, 1, 2, 3, quiet castle. And you'd hear them. And they'd be quiet.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? It's just something that families can do, moms, dads can do with their kids to get them back centered. You know, what are the opportunities? We take devastation, crisis, turn it into an opportunity.
That's it. And find out what they're thinking. Children have feelings. They have emotions. And when my children were little, I did what you call mother's touch. And so even now, there's like, we're having a mother's touch. So when this began to happen, I brought all my family to the table. If I birthed you, you came to the table.
That's good.
And we talked about what was coming, because we do, most of us belong to a Kingdom Life Church, and we know that God talks to us. And he began to talk to me. He let me know how to prepare. That's what I love about God. He'll prepare you. And so I sat down and we had a conversation. And now it's having those conversations, the mother's touches. How are you feeling about this? How do you feel being away from your friends? Are you feeling alone? Or, whatever, how is this affecting you right now? And building that relationship out of the games is finding, hubby, how you feeling today, babe? I know we got a lot going on, but I'm here for you. I'm here for you if you need me. I really am. I know I depend on you a lot. I have had to say that to my husband. Like, I'm here for you this time, and he, but whatever, just bring those opportunities, those family opportunities, building them with your kids. This is a great time to build new relationships with your family at the end to make that family dynamic stronger. Okay, I don't like you. I don't know you no more, so let's get to know each other some more. I just think this is a great opportunity.
When you said death, I thought, you know, how like people come together when someone dies, right? We talk to God when someone dies, but some, you know, but this is like the death of the world.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But you still have your family intact. It's the death of the
That's
world
good.
and how we know it. And so there's going to be some grief and some, you know, grievance and whatever, whatnot. But we have to move forward and we come together collectively as a family, you know, no matter if it's baby's kids, this, that, and the other, collectively, you know what I mean? And we have to show them grace because we have to have grace for ourselves because we're going to get a little upset.
Absolutely.
They're going to get upset. No, we just have to have compassion, kindness, and definitely grace.
And get answers.
Yes.
There's other mothers.
Yes.
There's other people.
Yes.
People have your answer. You know, so if you have a question, you now know I didn't know how to do that. There's answers out here. You know, utilize your resources, but don't give up.
Yeah, don't give up.
Not worth it.
Don't give up. Yeah, don't give up.
I want to add something.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I want to add this. I'm so happy that you ladies spoke on the children,
Yes.
our adolescents.
Yeah.
Now that's my little domain. I love me some babies. I love me some adolescents. I think it's so important to have these conversations. Their life is changing just like ours.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of confusion for them.
Yeah.
A lot of, oh, well, what do I do now? Like, I can't, you know, some of them will go to school and that's their outlet. That's their escape. You know, that absolutely, that's their meal. You know, or that's their sibling, or that's where they go to get sound advice from. They may not have that at home. And so now that if you're in relationship with a child, whether it's your niece or nephew, son, daughter, whether you're mentoring, it's so important, have the conversation with them. Get to know where they are. Get to understand what they feel, and then figure out how to speak life into them. Because there is so much, we see so much death right now. We don't want COVID to happen to us.
Yes.
We want to happen to
COVID.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
We don't get to control this.
Yeah.
Can you share some of what your adolescents are saying? What are they saying about this crisis, or maybe not specifically COVID, but the change?
Yes.
What are they saying about it?
So a lot of the adolescents, it's senior prom time, or it's graduation time, or it's some type of school activity that they're missing. And so trying to figure out, how do I still enjoy this time of my life with all that's happening right now? What do I do? I can't go see my friends, you know, and a lot of people right now, I can't go outside.
Right.
You know, I might go hang out with my friends. We may go play basketball, you know, or we may go to the mall and go shopping. None of that is happening right now. So helping them to find ways to release their stress, because that's what they're looking for. And they're looking to moms and dads and uncles and aunts. What do we do? Where am I going to go? Do I get to wear my dress? Find creative ways to let them express themselves and still enjoy the opportunities of being a senior or a junior or a freshman or whatever it is. You know, I've seen so many times on the internet where they're doing like those virtual proms, you know, or they're doing these virtual concerts. Those are excellent ways to allow them to self-express, you know, and I think it's important.
Being creative.
If I had the prom dress, you could believe.
Right.
You already know. I've got my prom dress on. I've got my heels on, and I'm prancing around looking for somebody to dance with. And if I don't have anybody to dance with, I'm going to dance by myself.
I know that.
So so
That's it.
just being creative. But my heart does go out to the seniors and even those that are graduated from college and high school. They've lived their lives for these moments, and it's like it's just kind of like being stripped away. But it's not the end of the world.
Absolutely.
You know, I had my calendar was full in March. it was full. At the beginning, I got one engagement done. Everything else afterwards was canceled. I had my book unveiling that I was going to do. And I was talking to someone yesterday, and I said, well, if it's in 18 months, I'm going to have a book party.
I know.
Okay?
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm going to have a book party, and everybody just bring their book, and I'll sign it or what have you, or the next book may be out by then. But whatever. So delayed, but that doesn't mean that it's denied. So I may have put the plans on the shelf, but the shelf life is good.
That's good.
That's good.
That's good.
The shelf life is good. So I'm still hopeful to pull off the shelf those things that I had to put on the back burner because of what's going on in this global epidemic, this global pandemic rather. And so that I'm not in it by myself. I'm not by myself. You know, not only is my family impacted by this, but my neighbors are impacted by this. People I work with, go to church with, those that I'm in covenant with, we're all impacted by this. So it helps to know that we're not alone. So once we pull back those layers and then we get in our own private setting, you still have to hold on to the fact that you're not by yourself. And I know that you're calling on the phone and trying to get through this governmental system, getting your application in for unemployment and all of that. I know it can be overwhelming, but I just say, keep calling until they answer. Get your coffee or whatever. They put you on hold. Cool. I'm going to put you on speaker and I'm just going to sit here and chill until my call comes in. I'm going to set it. I'll say today I'm getting through unemployment.
That's right.
Because you can control it. You don't have to, so don't give control to COVID.
Yes.
What I can control, I will control. What I can't control, I'll let God have it. At the end of the day. Pastor Mary, I have a question for you. I was sitting here thinking, we talked about the moms, we talked about the kids, we talked about, what about the ones that are sitting by themselves? They don't have anyone.
Yes.
I was already half depressed because I feel so alone. And now with social distancing, I feel totally isolated. I don't feel like I don't even think God hears me at this point. I'm just really feeling alone. What would you say to them people? And I would love to be able to have some, but I'm just sitting here like I'm hearing that. Yeah. What do you say? I have a family of, I have 7 kids and grandkids and outside kids. But what do you say to the mom or the person sitting alone or the dad just sitting alone?
You know, I would be very careful in what I said because I wouldn't want them to think that it's abnormal for them to feel like they're feeling. And then I would say connect. What can you do? Who can you connect to? Well, I have no family. What about your neighbors? What about rather than your neighbor bringing a cake and sitting it on your doorstep, how about you bake a cake and go sit it on their doorstep? Giving you a sense of purpose that you are more than the sofa.
Exactly.
That's good. Wow.
So, and I think sometimes thoughts can get crowded with what people aren't doing for us that we forget what we can do for someone else. So if being alone, start writing letters, pen pal somebody, do something where you can feel like you are adding to someone else's feeling alone.
That's good. That's good.
So that's what I would say to that person.
Because you are a solution. What are you a solution to? What do you bring to the table?
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. So we like to think to be solution oriented, you know. Yes. That's why it's so important to think.
That it is.
Think. You know, in my book, Captured by God is Another Bondage, and I don't want to be free. But in there's a reflection that says, think. We are no greater than our thoughts. So we have the power to think. It's just, what are you choosing to give your thoughts to? Because where the thought goes, the energy flows. So as we think and focus on different things, we begin to give it energy. We begin to give it power. So I would rather use my thoughts on something that's constructive, something that's building up, rather than something that's going to tear me down and have me feeling miserable inside. So we have the power to think.
We do have the power to think.
I want to speak from the perspective of a single woman. I'm a single woman. I do have a child and I have a puppy. And yes, they do keep me busy.
Yes.
However, I am a single woman, and and being in a space where I'm not near my family, right? So I spend a lot of time alone. And I do find that sometimes it's like, dang, I'm all by myself.
Yeah.
Like, who do I talk to? I can't, it's not like I can go see mom or go see dad or sister or brother. But what I'm finding myself stepping into is using my resources. Like, I have an iPhone, so I can what do you call it? FaceTime. Thank you. So I can FaceTime, or I have a computer. So my pastors introduced me to Zoom. So now I can Zoom people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So not allowing yourself to get caught up in the mindset that you have to be alone, because you don't. There are people who you can pick the phone up and call, and they would love to hear from you.
Yes,
absolutely.
Will talk to you. Will encourage you, motivate you, whatever you may need in that moment.
Yeah.
And so I do think that we have to be mindful, because I find myself sometimes, like, I'm sitting in the midst of great women right now, right? And these women are married and they have families and they're successful, and I'm like, okay, but listen, just because I'm not married doesn't mean I'm not successful.
That's right.
Doesn't mean I'm not impacting.
Exactly.
So it's also about changing your mindset.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So, this has been so wonderful, and I just hope it's been just as great for you all as it has been for us. So, Harper, do you have anything that you would like to share as we get ready to shift?
Yeah, I would just say work on changing your perspective so you can build hope.
Work on changing your perspective so you can build hope. What is life without hope? Hope deferred, we understand, makes the heart sick, but keep hoping, keep striving, and search for the opportunity in all of this stuff. So we want to say thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on What Now? What Now is your move?
Yes.
Blessings.
Be kind.
Blessings.
Yes.